No deal as yet between the US and Iran, but countries hit hard by throttled traffic in the Strait of Hormuz making their own moves. South Korea trying to secure passage for its ships and nationals, with a special envoy urging Iran's foreign minister to ensure the safety of about 40 South Korean nationals in Iran and the swift passage of its vessels. Seoul says is working with regional partners while also pushing for a resumption in peace talks.
이에 대해서 이제 아락치 장관은 선박 관련된 우리 측 요청을 유념을 하겠다. 그리고 우리 국민의 안전에 대해서는 지속적으로 잘 챙기겠고, 우리 대사관이 중단 없는 그런 역할을 수행한 데 대해서 적극적으로 그렇게 이제 평가를 했습니다. 이란 측은 또 다만 이제 해협이 미국과 관련된 문제라는 점을 설명을 했습니다.
The Center for Strategic and International Studies reports at least 26 South Korean-linked vessels and more than 170 crew members still stranded in the Strait of Hormuz. South Korea's dependence on Hormuz goes beyond just crude oil. About 35% of South Korea's naphtha, as a vital feedstock for plastic, also depends on transit through the waterway. The crucial semiconductor sector also feeling the crunch, dependent as it is on helium for chip making, with nearly 65% of helium coming from Qatar. But any deal with Tehran would put Seoul in a difficult position with Washington. Early this month, US President Donald Trump singled out allies for refusing to send warships to the strait. The US leader has also accused Seoul of not paying its fair share of what it takes to station American troops on the Korean peninsula. Mr. Trump could use ties with Iran as justification for more punitive tariffs on South Korea. Iran banking the first proceeds from its toll on shipping through the Strait of Hormuz in defiance of US threats against any country that pays Tehran for passage through that strait. Nick Harper for CNA joins us live from Washington, D.C. Nick, the fact that Iran says it's banking revenue, that would affect any potential deal on either peace or any extension in the ceasefire.
Well, currently at the moment, the US seems to be shrugging its shoulders in retaliation to what we've seen in the Strait of Hormuz. Really, it seems to be playing this waiting game. Even though Iran has seized these two ships, taken the ships to the ports, the United States is not in a hurry to act, even saying that the seizure of those two ships is not in violation of that current ceasefire. Remember, Iran says it is retaliating because of the blockade carried out by the US Navy. And they are reporting that now 31 Iranian ships have been turned around as part of that naval blockade. And of course, that naval blockade for the Iranians really is the main sticking point in all of this. They want that lifted so that they can progress towards some sort of talks. And as it stands, the US president is giving that open-ended ceasefire. In comments on Wednesday to Fox News, he said that there was no time pressure. He also said that as it stands, there is no time frame on ending the war either. So really, at this stage, it is that waiting game. But we do know that often Donald Trump likes to move things on a little bit quicker than they might be happening. So we might see him trying to exert some pressure. But for the time being, we are just in this waiting game, stuck in limbo. The Strait of Hormuz very much at the centre of all of this, but neither side moving in any sort of direction that might be able to restart the talks.
Oh, Pakistan, the mediator of the last round of talks with the US and Iran, putting a lot of diplomatic capital in securing any kind of deal between the US and Iran. Now, it's stuck in limbo as mediator. What are the prospects of any kind of talks between the US and Iran at this point?
Yeah, it's interesting, Wesu, that role that Pakistan has had very much elevated on the world stage there as the main mediator between the two, trying to bring them together, as it did for the first round of talks, now trying to bring them together for a possible second round of talks. But just as the US and Iran are in limbo in the Strait of Hormuz, Pakistan is now in limbo about trying to get this second round of peace talks secured. Certainly trusted as a country by both sides, by the US and Iran, also carrying out out that hybrid diplomacy, travelling to Iran, travelling to Middle Eastern countries. Pakistan sending its Prime Minister and its Field Marshal to be involved in that shuttle diplomacy. Now, all of that has helped, but of course it hasn't secured the second round of talks. And Donald Trump's patience might wear thin in the coming days. There is already some suggestion that this ceasefire, that he has said can run and run until Iran comes up with a workable proposal. There is some suggestion that he might reduce that ceasefire timeline to about 3 to 5 days. Now, obviously, that would help Pakistan because we might actually get to the point where talks actually happen. But for now, they are waiting, as is the US, as is Iran, as is the rest of the world, to see what might happen and if those talks will ever take place.
Oh, thanks. Nick Harper for CNA from Washington, D.C.